Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Brunch with Mike Missanelli right here on the On Podcast Network. And this is going to be a very, very strange show. This season has certainly taken a turn. I don't know where it's turned to, but we'll figure it out at the end of this hour of Brunch. Yes, I am Mike Missanelli, and we're doing this show a couple of days after the Eagles lost to the Chicago Bears because we wanted everybody to enjoy their Thanksgiving. We don't want to mess it up on a Saturday right after the game, after they lost on Friday, on Black Friday. But let me get the positives out of the way real quick. The Eagles are still in that third playoff spot. And if you look at the NFL from week to week, it's based basically on whether good teams have the good biorhythms going at that particular time. There's a lot of teams that lose. I mean, you look at the results in the NFL, and you look at a team like the Denver Broncos, you look at all these good teams that have this strive to win their games against teams that you think they should bury. It really doesn't work that way in the NFL. But the big concerning thing is, because we have a frame of reference for this, does this have the makings of a 2023 collapse versus whether it's the biorhythms the Eagles just weren't ready to play that particular day? The second loss in a row on the heels of Dallas. They go in with a short week, which the Bears also had a short week. And here's the troubling part of it. They got dominated at the line of scrimmage. Now, I'm a damn fool because a couple of weeks ago, I was talking about the Eagles in the same breath, the Eagles defense in the same breath as the 85 Chicago Bears and the 2000 Ravens. And I look like an idiot right now because their defense certainly didn't look that way against the Bears. Let's just go down the list of things that happened in this game. First of all, the Eagles allowed 282 rushing yards. That's the most in 10 years. And before that, you have to go back to 1973 for that many yards given up. Also, their offense. They have scored in the last four games 10, 16, 24, 15. They are averaging 15.5 points per game in their last four games. They had only 2 first downs in their first 6 drives in this game. And more importantly, this team got beat up physically. Now, this has happened twice this year. You remember the game they lost to the Giants? They got beat up physically. And we're thinking, how's that even possible? There's no way that could possibly happen again. The Chicago Bears beat them up physically. They had a scheme on offense that befuddled Vic Fangio and the Philadelphia Eagles. And for the life of me, I can't understand it. They used a lot of motion. They used a lot of trickery. They used a lot of flow one way, go the other way. Ben Johnson had a scheme that was wonderful against the Eagles defense, which had never had these kind of problems before. All right, let's just go down the list here. The offense was shaky. 281 yards the Bears raked that defense for. That's the most they've given up in 52 years on the ground. Hurts was not terrible. He was just careless. He missed receivers all game. And going into the last TD drive, he was 9 for 18 through 3.5 quarters. Was only 1 for 7 on third downs over that span. And we know he made some terrible throws. He threw behind Devontae Smith on one that was very glaring. He was careless on the interception that Kevin Byard, who somehow has second life, after he played with the Eagles, he was done. He's got second life with the Chicago Bears. And then there was the tush-push fumble, which now teams have caught on to a little bit. The tush-push used to be impenetrable. It's no longer impenetrable. They're finding a way to stop it. Number one, by trying to strip the ball out of the hands of the quarterback, and he gave it up big in that particular situation. Jake Elliott. All right, he missed 2 field goals. It was windy, whatever. He also mixed in a key extra point that would have tied the game at that point. And when you don't tie the game, you always feel like you're a little behind. Hurts, 19 for 34 for 230 and 2 TDs, but many of those came on that meaningless final drive where they got the ball down the field when the Chicago Bears were playing a little bit soft. He was 9 for 18 through 3.5 quarters, and again, only 1 for 7 on third downs over that span. The Bears stopped the run and dared the Eagles to pass, which has been the theme all season long. Stop the run. Dare him to pass. He doesn't like to throw in tight windows. He doesn't like to throw in the middle of the field. Right now, Jalen Hurts, as much as we laud him, was a liability in that last game. Now, we're going to have Barrett Brooks on, Eagle analyst Barrett Brooks, that you see on the post-game shows on NBC Sports Philly. He's coming on at 11:30 to explain what he saw, and he saw a lot, and we'll get his perspective. The Bears used motion on every play. You know, it's funny. I look at the offensive coordinator for the Eagles, and by the way, this just in. This morning on Patterson Avenue, somebody hired somebody to put one of those mobile signs down there that said, "Fire Kevin Patullo." That's how bad it's gotten. In the stadium, you heard, "Fire Kevin Patullo," chants. You heard boos. I mean, this is a crazy time in Philadelphia Eagle football. Hurts not comfortable with motion. I'm thinking, why don't the Eagles do what Ben Johnson did on their offense? Why don't they use more motion, more trickery? Well, the quarterback apparently is not comfortable with that, which is a major liability for a quarterback. All right, let's get to the Sirianni file, because the head coach has to take a lot of responsibility for what went on in this game. He was also asked after the game whether he's going to make any changes to the play caller, and he said no. So for the time being, Kevin Patullo is the play caller. However, you know, when there's been a long break between games, and the Eagles don't play on Monday night, long 9 days between games, that somehow the general manager and the owner put a little pressure. Hey, you need to change your play caller. But who would that be? Would Sirianni take it back? Sirianni hasn't been that great of a play caller. Who else? Scott Loeffler, the quarterback's coach? He called plays in college for Bowling Green. What candidate on their staff is qualified to call plays? So whether you sit here and say Kevin Patullo's no good, give me the answer on who calls plays now. Nick Foles? You want to hire him? Put him on the sidelines? He had a few things to say about the Eagles' offense and how vanilla it is. The Sirianni file. We all know about his major mistakes, so let's go over them. Trailing 24-9, A.J. Brown, 4-yard TD, make it 24-15. This is late in the game. Now, I don't know. I'm not a football strategist, but it seems like the mantra is extend the game as long as you can. In other words, keep your players in it for as long as you can. Don't take a one shot there, and if you miss it, you're done. At least stay in the game. Your players stay in the game. You have some timeouts left. You can stay in the game. You're only 8 points down. Instead, he went for two at that particular situation. Now, going for two, if you make it, it's good. Going for two, if you miss it, ends the game. The game is over with 2+ minutes left if you don't make that two. So that's why I say keep hope alive, as Jesse Jackson would say. Keep hope alive. Get the extra point. You get the 8 points later. Well, he decided not to do it. As opposed to kicking the PAT to extend the game, the Eagles had 3 timeouts left. There's a chance they could stop them on defense, get down, score another touchdown. Then you go for the 2 to get the 8 points to tie the game. But they kind of gave up the game at that point. At the 2-minute warning, they began a possession on their own 35. They completed a pass to AJ, but he didn't get out of bounds. This is in the first half. 40 seconds left until the 2-minute warning. They do not take a timeout there. They waited out instead of running one more play. What is that about? That I don't understand. These are fundamental coaching errors that the head coach, who's won a Super Bowl and has been to another one, failed to execute here. I'm down on the head coach. All right. We have the example. Defense was struggling a few years ago. They had the big gap. Sean Desai was fired. Sean Desai had a presser and still was fired afterwards, where they had Matt Patricia come over. Is the same thing in vogue for this week? Kevin Patullo is scheduled to speak tomorrow to the press. Will they go through that same charade and then by the next game say there's a different play caller? I don't know what's going to happen. But again, we got to measure this as biorhythms were down versus 2023 collapse. And this is what I want to hear from you. And you can join in on the chat. If you look at if you're tuning in right now, there's a chance for you to chat with us. And we take live comments right on the air about what's going to happen with this team. Do you sense, I want to know from the fans, do you sense that the same thing is going to happen as happened in 2023, that they're so down right now that they have a chance to lose a lot of games coming down the stretch, even though a lot of these games are winnable games? They're playing the Chargers next. The Chargers are a pretty good team. They're in a playoff hunt in the AFC. Are you looking at this game like, would you lose to the Chargers? That's a game that nobody thought that they would lose. And then you got the Bills coming up. So these two games are very imperative on what happens for the rest of the year for the Philadelphia Eagles. All right, let's go to our sound of the game. And Nick Sirianni, who is trying to find some answers during this slide. Now, again, the slide, there are only 2 periods of 2-game losing streaks in this season. It's not like 2023 where they kept losing. 2 games. Biorhythm's down. Maybe I'm blowing the horn that doesn't need to be blown. But let's hear from Nick Sirianni on him finding answers during this particular slide.
If I wish I could tell you this is exactly what it is, and this is hard. It's not easy to be successful, stay successful. So we have to find again. We have to do it collectively. We have to do it collectively as a unit. Like, obviously, if I knew exactly what it was and everything that it was, then we'd have fixed it. But right now, we're still searching and we're still looking, and a lot of football left to play. 8-4 right now, a lot of football left to play. And this weekend will be, an opportunity for us to find more answers and to figure things out as coaches, players being able to rest, to gear up for this last stretch of 5 games left. But obviously hasn't been good enough. Coaching, playing, and we got to find answers.
See, here's my problem. 2-day games ago against Dallas, they faced a 5-man front. Afterwards, a couple of the players even said, well, they did some things we hadn't seen before. And I'm going, you have a coaching staff of about 12 people during the course of a game. 12 people. If you see they're using a 5-man front, go to Football for Dummies, where the chapter says, how you beat a 5-man front. In this particular game, the Bears offense was using all kinds of motion. As a defensive coordinator, and I love Vic Fangio, as a defensive coordinator, you got to say, well, they're using motion. Here's how we combat motion. They're running the ball down our throat. They're crushing us with the run. We got to bring some guys down. All right, maybe we give up an explosive play when we have guys down, but you can't just sit on your hands. And finally, for the Eagles offense, if it's not working, find out why it's not working. My problem with this Eagles coaching staff, including Nick Sirianni, he doesn't seem to be able to adjust during a game. Doesn't matter what you say after a game, and we got to get to work, and we got to do this, and we got to do that, and we got to fix this, and we got to fix that. You got to fix it during the game, and they haven't been doing that. All right, let's get to the second one. He's still confident in this team and can't pinpoint one thing that is the issue. Well, that's troubling to me. Well, let's hear the head coach.
And I have confidence in the entire group. Again, I know it will keep coming back to Kevin, but again, if I thought it was one thing, then you make those changes. Obviously, it's a lot of different things. But I don't think it is Kevin. Now we all have a part in it. Kevin has a part of it. I have a part of it. All the coaches have a part of it. All the players have a part of it. Again, you win and lose as a team. It's never on one thing.
All right, listen, Kevin Patullo is his buddy, is his friend. I know it would be difficult for me to demote my friend. I get it. He hasn't done a good enough job. The guy hasn't done a good enough job. He has not adjusted to what the other team is doing. Jalen Hurts looks lost at times. He doesn't look bad. He doesn't look good. He just looks listless. He doesn't look like he's got any zip. He doesn't know, like he has no kind of system that he goes through, a progression where he's going to get things going again. And it's very problematic. All right, now here is where Nick says he's not changing the offensive play caller, but we'll evaluate everything. Well, if you evaluate everything, you've got to change the offensive play caller. Here's Sirianni again, not changing Kevin Petullo.
We're not changing the play caller. But we will evaluate everything, and that's what this weekend we'll have another little mini bye, and I think that's another short week, another short week that leads to a long weekend where we'll evaluate everything. But again, like I said, after that, it's never just about one person, right? You win as a team, you lose as a team, and you try to evaluate everything. Win, lose, or draw, and get better from it.
You see, he's not. Listen, he says the same thing every week, okay? And he's not pressed on anything. And I don't want to sit here and blame the reporters because they have a job to do. There's a million of them down there. They have to get their question in. I get it. It's tough to have a back and forth with a head football coach. But Nick Sirianni's not giving you any answers right now. He's just not. And it's really frustrating to listen to him week after week say the same things. We got to get better. I evaluate everything. And it's nonsense. So I would rather not hear him, to be honest. We formulate our own opinions. We're smart Eagle fans. We see what's going on. Let's go. In fact, let's go to some of the fans who have chimed in already on this show. E.G. Butler's with us again. He goes, this team has no will to win right now. I don't know why. They don't. The last two games indicate that. But there have been will to win in other games. I mean, we're sitting here going crazy over their win against the Green Bay Packers, where their defense dominated. And so this is where I try to hold up on my criticism of this Eagles team because NFL teams are weird. From week to week, you never know what you're going to get. I mean, look at the Rams. All right. Chris Lemmer. I'm trying not to feel like we did in 2023, but we're trending the wrong direction. And with Dallas looming just 2 games back now, it does scare me a lot. Well, I'm not scared of Dallas, Chris. I don't think the Cowboys are going to win enough games to challenge the Eagles for the division. But really, that's not the point at this point. The division championship is irrelevant. Where they stand in the playoff bunch is what's more relevant. Let's go to Kimberly Marusco. Kim's a big listener of the program. They say the same freaking thing every week with different words. Yes, they do, Kim. They say the same thing every week, just with different words, and they're not pressed on things. And again, it's a different era of media. Media used to press coaches on stuff. This guy, Sirianni's a nice guy. And I don't think people really want to battle with the guy because he's not a battler. But, I think fans need more answers than the general stock answers that he gives. All right, Chrissy's back. It's possible that no sense that anyone saw this coming. Make some changes on the fly. Well, that would be the offensive coordinator. But again, who do you have as the offensive coordinator? Who do you have to go to call plays? Now, if Sirianni was really in charge of this team, Sirianni would take back the reins of calling plays. He's ahead. Listen, let's face it. His guy isn't doing a good enough job. When his guy isn't doing a good enough job, he's the head coach. I'll take the brunt now. I will take over. That's what a good head coach would do. But he's afraid to do it because he's been criticized that he doesn't do it well enough. And so he's not going to wrest the reins from Kevin Petullo to embarrass Kevin Petullo, his buddy, but also because I think he's unsure of his own ability. E.G. Butler checking in. The O is killing the defense. Now the defense is wearing down. True. That is true. However, what the Bears did to the Eagles really should not happen. The Eagles personnel on the defensive line is too good to be flummoxed by what the Bears were doing to them. I mean, they were flowing to one side, letting the running back go to the other side. That's where you fill in with a linebacker. That's where you bring a safety up. But I'm shocked that Vic Fangio didn't make the adjustments that he needed to make. It's not like this Bears offense is great. They told you what they were. They were going to run the ball straight at you. They weren't going to. It's funny because I wrote down a note. I said, Caleb Williams isn't a good enough passer to win this game. He's not. He has no idea how to pass the ball at this particular stage of his career. He's not going to make big plays. He's not going to make explosive plays with his arm. So stop the run. Bring out guys in the box. Single covered guys. That's what I thought Vic Fangio was a little asleep at the wheel in this game. First time I've ever said that about him, by the way, this year. All right, let's take a breath. Let's take a break. We'll come back. We got Barrett Brooks coming up at 11:30. We're going to go over the play-by-play. We're going to go over the stats of this game. This is going to be a really interesting game when we go deep into the play-by-play and what happened during the course of the series in this game. So it's the Mike Missanelli Show. It's actually Birds Brunch with Mike Missanelli on the On Patterson Network. Coming up, Barrett Brooks in 10 minutes, but also play-by-play coming up and also stats of the game right after this.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's. Warm up this fall with an incredible seafood boil. Try the Uncle George with succulent snow crabs, tasty mussels, and shrimp. There's the Pete's Feast with 2 pounds of sweet succulent crab legs, a dozen shrimp, clams, and a pound of mussels. Or create your own boil. Add a lobster tail or a delicious Dungeness cluster. Include smoked sausage, corn, and potatoes, served in our tasty broth, made with white wine and our signature seasonings. A shellfish lover's dream at Chickies and Pete's.
A flawless occasion begins at the Capitol Grill. From the moment you step into the Capitol Grill, located in the heart of Center City, the experience is one of comfortable elegance. Whether you're looking to host a private affair, a perfect lunch stop, or dinner destination, start your occasion at the Capitol Grill today. Visit thecapitolgrill.com or call 215-545-9588. That's 215-545-9588 for the Capitol Grill, Center City.
Think banking hasn't changed? Think again. At Penn Community Bank, we've been helping communities thrive for 150 years. From our nationally recognized Access Checking that offers the peace of mind of no overdrafts, to student and free Checking Plus options with perks that will make you wonder what you did without them, like early direct deposit, overdraft grace, and Zelle. Learn more at PennCommunityBank.com/products. Penn Community Bank. Here we grow. Account and feature terms, restrictions, and conditions apply. Ask for full details. Member FDIC.
Your day-to-day life is hectic between having to pick up the kids, make dinner, the countless other tasks that you got to get done. Rob's Automotive and Collision is there to make your life a whole lot easier. Make sure you take advantage of their spacious waiting rooms, the large flat-screen TVs, complimentary coffee and muffins, and free Wi-Fi. So even when you do have to stop, Rob's is there to make you feel right at home. Give Rob's a call today at 215-826-9200 for any of your auto repair needs.
Oh boy, who thought the Eagles would have 4 losses this particular time of the season? And everybody's looking at this team the way they were playing early and saying, "Man, this team could really be like one-loss team." Well, they're not anymore. And we'll go over to the playoff scenario as it stands right now a little later in the show. You can find the Birds Brunch podcast, by the way, on all Apple and Spotify podcasts. And you can watch us live and check us out on YouTube on Patterson channel. So there you go. That's how you get to us. And we'd love to hear your comments on this. One of the things I really love about this interaction when doing this podcast and also when I was doing Sports Talk Radio is the interaction with the fans and what you guys are thinking out there. And it was a miserable time for you out there. There were a lot of boos in the stadium. And, that's a topic that we will talk about Thursday in our podcast with Anthony Sanfilippo, whether the boos are deserved. I mean, they got booed off the field in the first half of this game. And, this fan base does not have much patience for bad play. Once you set yourself up as a really good team and you play poorly, I mean, that's a reaction I think that's visceral from the fans. I think the fans are totally justified. You set a standard. Now, if they were mediocre and they play that way, the boos would be out of line. But in this particular situation, when you set yourself up to be the kingpin in the NFC and you play like that at home against a Bear team, let's face it, the Bears hadn't beaten anybody. They were probably like the flimsiest 8-3 team I've ever seen coming into this game, and they wound up winning and walking away with a victory. I don't understand it. All right, let's look at our game stats for this particular game. First of all, we'll start with Jalen Hurts. He was 19 of 34 for 230. Now, that looks decent, 6.8 average, but a lot of those were on that final drive where they got up and down the field where the Bears were playing soft. His quarterback rating, 84.2. You saw the misses he had in this game. It was not a great game. Now, Saquon Barkley, they ran him 13 times. A lot of people say you got to run him more than 13 times. 13 for 56, 4.3 average. In this case, I would say yes, they needed to run him more in this game. Jalen Hurts, 4 carries for 31 yards. No one else got a carry. All right, A.J. Brown had a decent game. 10 receptions for 132. Again, a lot of those were early on, and a lot of those were late. He had a long at 33 for the big score. Devontae Smith, 5 for 48. Dallas Goedert, again, underused. 2 receptions for 27. He got 4 targets. Hurts fumbled away, a tush push, obviously. And so on the other side, Caleb Williams, 17 for 36 for 154 yards. He got sacked twice. But Monangai, the kid from Rutgers, and DeAndre Swift combined 40 carries in this game. They had 47 rushes for 281 yards, an average of 6.0, and 2 touchdowns with a long of 31. That just should not happen. Now, the receiving, again, look at the mediocre receivers that Chicago has. Their leading receiver was Luther Burden III, who I believe was the lead singer for the band War back in the day. Luther Burden, he's a rookie, 4 for 33. Cole Kmet, the tight end, 3 for 36. Colston Loveland, another tight end. They got 6 catches from their tight ends. Zacchaeus, our old buddy, Zacchaeus, 2 catches. DJ Moore, their big threat, had 2 catches for 17 yards. DeAndre Swift had a catch. Roma Dunze, their big receiver, two receptions for 8 yards. They held him down and still lost the game. I mean, it's phenomenal if you look at the statistics in this game. You go, how did the Eagles lose this game? Well, they lost because they got gashed. They got gashed at the line of scrimmage. Hard to believe, man, really, when you think about it, how the Eagles, these defensive tackles that the Eagles have, you would think could not get pushed around the way they did. I mean, we were lauding their defensive line. We were lauding their linebackers. We were lauding the Nakobe Dean and Bond and Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter and these guys in the middle where there's no way that anybody is going to gain a lot of yards against these guys, but they did. So I don't know, man. I don't know what to think at this point. And let's get back to our chat board. Mike, you were right. It's the way they are losing that is pissing us off. That's Kimberly. Also, E.G. Butler says, and I agree with E.G., this team is still 8-4. Let's not jump the ledge yet. No, I agree. This is why I'm saying, like, a team's biorhythms from day to day, from week to week, you never know when a team is going to be good, whether a good team is going to be on their A game or not. It happens in the NFL. So, again, I'm trying to guard against that. But I have the specter of 2003 hanging over my head, where they got off to that great start, 10-1, and everybody's thinking they're going to the Super Bowl. There's no question. And all of a sudden, it just fell apart. And I hope to God it's not now that they're going to fall apart, because they can really way down. They can lose a first-round home field advantage game the way things are going right now. All right. Crystal is back. Chris is back with us. Chris Lemmer. Agreed. We still have the chance to correct things, but it has to start now. Yeah, it has to start now. And they're in a tough game. You know, I think the Chargers game was a tough game. He says these are all correctable things, and we can't seem to make those in-game adjustments. And that's the key. Is this coaching staff good enough to make in-game adjustments? I think Vic Fangio is, but he didn't really show that in this particular game. The offense, I'm not sure. I see things on offense, and I go, can they make this adjustment? Look at what they're doing. Dallas had a 5-man front. Is a 5-man front supposed to be impenetrable? I don't think so. So, I mean, who knows what's going to happen at this point? All right, so the Bears are 9-3. The Eagles 8-4. If we look, let's look at the NFL playoff scenario. Hopefully, Barrett Brooks will join us in a second. The NFL playoff scenario has changed. Guess who's number 1? That's right. The Chicago Bears are number 1. They obviously have a tiebreak over the Rams at this point. They're number 1. The Rams are 2. The Eagles are 3. The Buccaneers are 4. The Seahawks are 5. The Packers are 6. And the 49ers are 7. Right now, as it stands, the Eagles would play the Packers in a first-round game a revenge situation for the Packers. Now, do I think the Eagles are better than the Packers? Do I think they would have to fret through that game? No, I don't think they would fret through that game. And then they would get the Rams in game 2 in LA, by the way. Rams in revenge, game in LA. I don't like that matchup. This is to move up in the standings in the NFC playoff situation.
It's I'm telling you this, man. It's tough.
Let's introduce him. The man who you see on the Eagles postgame show, former Eagle, former Steeler, former offensive line great, the great Barrett Brooks joins us. Hello, Barrett.
What's going on, Mike? Man, hey, this is wonderful, man. Come on, man. Me and back in the saddle with you. I'm loving this.
All right, Barrett, let's get to the crux here because, I'm looking at the sky's not falling. They're still in a decent playoff picture. And I know in the NFL, it's so weird from week to week where good teams stumble, don't play their best. But this Eagles team now, we have this thing hovering over us, the 2023 collapse. So what do you see right now with the Eagles, Barrett?
I see a team that lacks confidence. I see a team that's undisciplined. Both things that can be addressed. It's just more so a mindset more than anything. They lack the crossing the T's and dotting the I's. They don't do things, what I've deemed the Eagle way. I mean, come on now, all the penalties we have, the pre-snap penalties we have, I mean, that's something that you can't do and be a championship type of squad. I mean, the mere fact that they go in and have penalties, that don't, it has nothing to do with how great this team is, how good the players are on this team. I mean, you look at it, they have more talent than anybody in the NFL. The best roster in the NFL, especially on the offensive side of the ball, yet they can't score more than 20 points a game. That just comes with the team lacking the discipline, concentration, and understanding of what it is to be a great team again. They can change this just by mindset. I could see if it was talent out there on the field, they were getting beat up, because of the talent. It's not that. It's just they lack the mindset to go out there and just do it. Now, they got their butts kicked in this last game in the trenches, and that came with, being undisciplined, knowing where to, fit in as far as, defensively on, run fits. I mean, they were being, freestyle. You can't do that in a defense. You can't play freestyle. You got to, make sure you're in your gap, stop in your gap, and that's it. I watch players just jump outside their gap and leaving gaps wide open, and then the Bears took advantage of it and ran right in behind them. That's just undisciplined football, and that's just not the Eagle way.
All right, explain to me how a really good defense can get out-schemed by what Ben Johnson was doing and why they couldn't make adjustments. They got a really sophisticated defensive coordinator up in that booth who has seen everything. Why weren't they able to make adjustments? What happened?
Well, that's exactly what you just said. They got not necessarily out-schemed. They got out-muscled. They got, the discipline they had was just, uncharacteristic of a defense that I've seen the past 2 years. They were just jumping out of their gaps. They weren't filling the right gaps. I watched a play where, Jalen Carter just flat out just took out and ran to the C gap, and his gap was the B gap. He was trying to make a play. You can't do that within his defense. You got to stick to the game plan. And when you get outside that game plan, that's the holes up. So as a defense and as a defensive play caller, he saw his defense just totally unfold. You saw guys freestyling, trying to go make a play. You can't do that within their defense. You got to stay disciplined in your gaps. You got to stay disciplined on your reads that are in front of you. You got to play disciplined coverage, and they did none of that in this last game.
It's pretty late in the season. I mean, you would think that those little things would have been covered by now. Like they're making those kind of mistakes this late in the season. What does that say about the coaching staff right now?
Well, that's damning for the coaching staff. I mean, that's exactly what it is. They have no confidence in the schemes they're calling. Even on the offensive side of the ball, they have no confidence in what the play call. So when you're a guy, you've seen this happen. See, I mean, I experienced this actually when I was in Philadelphia. My last year in Philadelphia in 1998, it was halfway through the season. We had Dana Bible. We were actually going to play, at the time, it was San Diego Chargers. We were going to play the Chargers. Dana Bible was our offensive coordinator. At the end of the game, we woke up the next day. Bill Musgrave became our offensive coordinator. And that's when things just, it was already turned upside down. It really went bad because then guys started doing what they wanted to do. I got this back here. I got to make sure I play well. So I'm going to do what I need to do to get good film work on film. Instead of playing the defense, playing the offense, playing, what you needed to do to win football games. I saw that play out in last week's game. I saw that play out on Friday. That's exactly what I saw. Guys wanted to make a play, so they started doing their own things, jumping into gaps, trying to go up and under, run underneath stuff. You can't do that with the gap scheme that they were running. You got to be disciplined. And that offensive line that they had, they really pushed guys around. So when you got that type of play, it really hurts you, not just as a defense, but also on the offensive side of the ball.
Talking to Barrett Brooks, NBC Sports Phillies Eagles postgame show. Barrett, let's talk about the offense because things are not good. And, a lot of this is falling on the quarterback. When you look at how Jalen Hurts played, how do you come out?
When I saw some guys open. I saw a lot of guys open, actually. I saw guys, in within the framework of what the passing play was, go to his first read. It was there. He didn't get the ball to him. He went to who he thought he should get the ball to. And that's where the problem lies. I think he's doing what, Messer he wants to do that are doing what the offense is dictating that he does. There were guys wide open. I mean, we're talking about a defense that lacked the interior as far as their starting linebackers. Not just both starting linebackers, but the second team linebackers were also out of the game. That's 4 linebackers that, started this year for them. They were out. They were playing with 5th and 6th string guys, and yet they didn't take advantage of the middle of the field. That's also play calling. This should have been a Dallas Goedert game. I mean, it should have been Dallas Goedert all day. He should have been eating up everything in the middle of the field because they had, guys that just didn't play there, and we didn't take advantage of it. So I think that's play calling and Jalen Hurts not, running the offense the way it's supposed to be run.
Two receptions for Dallas Goedert, 4 targets. You're absolutely right about that. What is it about this quarterback's reluctance to throw in the middle of the field?
You got to call plays that take advantage of that. That has a lot to it also. But, also it's tough to do that because we don't call plays to get those guys involved in the middle of the field. I mean, you can run drag routes. You can run stop routes, crossing routes. Take advantage of that. We don't do that a lot. We don't call plays to do that. We run all stop routes. We run all slant plays, and defenses are taking advantage of that. They're stopping. They're not, they're sitting on routes. So what do? You run a double move on the outside, or, you run out and up, something that's different from what this, rest of the NFL is seeing. And we're not doing that. They just know our route combination. They know how to stop our offense. And, we're just not doing anything to combat that. Why don't we run boot protections? Why don't we run more screens in the middle of the field? We call them slow screens to the running backs. Why don't we, run angle routes, to running backs in the middle of the field? We can do all that stuff. We run nod routes to Dallas Goedert. If you run a nod route to Dallas Goedert, he'd be open every play. But we don't do that. That's just, that's just a simple play where he'll look inside, duck inside, and turn out and be wide open right there. We just don't do things like that. We're always trying to run, plays to just keep the chains moving. Sometimes we need those explosives. We need to go out there and really move and take the top off of defenses. We just don't do it.
The offense seems to be very unimaginable. And by the way, people are on the chat board are lauding you. You're bringing the fire right now. So I like that. They asked you a question, shouldn't the coaches see this on film and correct it with the players? Absolutely, they should correct it with the players. But when you look at the Eagles offense, obviously the offensive coordinator is getting hammered. And people are screaming for them to fire Kevin Patullo. I don't know how you feel about Kevin Patullo and how you feel about this particular situation. You did reference a situation where there was a change when you were playing, and we know that they did it on defense with Sean Desai and Matt Patricia a couple of years ago. Where do they stand right now with the play caller? Should they stay with the Kevin Patullo, or should they do something different?
You know what? To be honest, even though we're saying it's unimaginative, it won a Super Bowl last year, so that's the problem. You try to tell
this offensive coordinator though.
Right. But we're still running Nick Sirianni's offense, and it's hard to say anything because you're running his offense. He's not going to change because it's his offense. That's number one. Number two, it also has to do with the lack of restraint that this team has as far as penalties. I mean, come on now. I mean, pre-snap penalties, it takes no athleticism to have that. You just stop jumping off sides. Stop covering up guys, and then, you have an illegal formation. Stop holding. All these penalties are backing us up. And, that's just a team that, just lacks the discipline to go out there. And if you look at it, look at the Dallas game. Dallas had two great catches were nullified by pre-snap penalties. Look at this last game. Just start off, we start out, jumping off sides, 1st and 15. There's not a lot of plays that you can, have in your list. All right, I'm start all over again, 1st and 15, and we don't stay on time. This offense has to be on time. When Jalen Hurts gets this offense on time, and they're going out around second and 5, now it's 3rd and 2. Now we're good because there's a lot of plays for that. But 3rd and 15, there's not a lot of play calls you can do that. And we lack the discipline to go out there and execute these plays when they're like that.
Lacking the discipline, Barrett, it's better than anybody, is a reflection on the coaching staff. This is a couple of weeks in a row where they've had these pre-snap penalties.
But, Mike, how do you coach that? How do you coach that? How do you coach discipline? It's not like you can do when you're in college or in your high school. Hey, jump off sides again. We're going to run gassers. These are grown men. These are guys getting paid millions of dollars to play the game. You got to have a mindset. I think that's the biggest thing. It's not the athleticism. It's not the play on it. Really, for me, it's more so the lack of discipline this team holds out there on the field. They just don't do things the Eagle way right now. I mean, you take away all the penalties. This is a really good football team, but they're penalized, probably one of the highest penalized teams in the NFL. So because of that, we're losing games because of it now. It's catching up with us. Athleticism brought us to this point. Now you got to be more disciplined because now things are starting to get, put into place. Now you start to jockey for position for playoffs. Now you're starting to build an offense and a defense to play playoff football. We got to get past all these penalties and everything and lack of discipline before we can do anything else.
Let me ask you about Nick Sirianni taking over play calling duties. So I've seen it around the NFL. Campbell grabbed it. He said, I'm going to call plays from now on. He hurt his offensive coordinator's feelings, whatever. We know Sirianni is tight with Kevin Patullo. But Sirianni doesn't seem to want to do it either, which is troubling me as the head coach who's an offensive guy. You know what we're doing now is not working. I'm going to take the control. Is that what should happen?
I don't necessarily think he should just take total control of it, but he needs to have more say-so on what's going on. It should be run past him a lot more.
Plays. He should not be the play caller.
I just know he's not going to do that. He's just not. He's not that type of dude. He's not going to do that. He's running his offense. He's not going to do that. That's his boy. He's been here for 4 or 5. He's been here 5 years with him. He's just not going to do it. So I'm not even going to entertain thought of him going out and playing and being a play caller. He said he likes the autonomy of being able to go down to defense and be able to go talk to special teams and run the game from that standpoint point. You know what? I saw I saw something on X from a former quarterback here, and he said, well, maybe it's that we're too close up on the situation as far as him calling plays. Maybe he needs to go back upstairs and call plays from up there. And I really think that would help him out a lot, because when you're down there on the field and you look into this guy's eyes, you see emotionally what's going on. You get too involved with that. You know what I'm saying? Stay up top, go up top. Maybe you can see it from a different vantage point as, all right, then I see what's going on. I see what'll work, instead of being in these guys' face. All right, maybe I need to get him the ball and try to trying to help his feelings instead of, calling an offense that, we can win with. Send him upstairs, And Nick Foles, I'm going to say, all right, Nick Foles.
That quarterback was Nick Foles.
Nick Foles. I'm going to say Nick Foles.
I know you didn't want to time him out, but he's already out there, is he, with his opinion.
Right. But I think that, that's a great idea. That's a great concept, because I knew for a fact that when I was playing here in Philly, there was no way Gruden could be right there on the sideline calling plays. I mean, Randall Cunningham, Ricky Waters would have took his head off. They would, you just can't do it. You can't be. That's too much emotion. That's too much. Closeness and tying into the emotions of the game. Go up top. Be up there. That way you can see the entire situation. You can see what's working, what's not working. I can see it because I'm watching it on TV. I can see, oh man, this is what they're doing. They're squatting on everything. But when you're right there, you really can't see everything that's going on. You see it afterwards.
I have to digress here because Ricky Waters is one of my favorite guys. I did a TV show with him way back in the day when you were playing with him. And that was the day he pointed up to the press box where Gruden was. Right?
and the gesturing and everything.
he gestured. Like what was that like? As an offensive lineman, his blocker for him. Like what was that reaction like with Ricky Waters when he went off?
He was pointing up there at Ricky, and then turn around. Gruden was doing down there and flipping him the bird too. They were, they could see each other doing it. So you didn't see this part of it though. He goes down as soon as we're going into halftime. He comes downstairs. He comes down and he has to go across where we come in. He has to cross there to go into the locker room. And as soon as he hits the hallway, him and Ricky caught eyes, and boom, he took off after him. And Gruden starts running, and they're literally running through the hallways. He's trying, I'm gonna kill you, bro. That's what I'm saying. You can't be the part. He took off running. This literally happened. And if it wasn't for Guy Mack tackling Ricky Waters, it'd have been a bloodbath right then and there. We wouldn't have had offensive coordinator or anything.
I'll tell you my personal story. So Ricky would never show up early for this TV show. We did a live TV show. It was at the 8th Floor nightclub way back in the day.
Yes, great club.
So I show up one night, and the producer says to me, Ricky wants to talk to you. I go, Ricky's here? He said, yeah, he's here. He's in the bathroom. So I go to the bathroom, and he goes, we're at the stalls next to each other. He goes, were they talking about me on the air today? And I go, yeah. He said, how come they're not talking about the MF offensive coordinator who can't call an MF game? And I go, I'll ask you about that. That was my first question to him. But those were the days, man, with him.
It was great.
It's like gallows humor, trying to take our mind off the subject of the Philadelphia Eagles right now. So before I let you go, I got to ask you now the conclusion of this whole season, where they stand right now. They play a tough team next week, which I didn't think was going to be a tough team. Are you seeing that? Are you seeing a snap back to Eagle football? Are you seeing a little leakage where we could be worried about what the rest of the season is?
Mike, I'm a homer, man. I'm a homer, and I'm the total optimist. I really believe that this they'll get it together because they have a track record of getting it back together. You look at it because it happened 2 years ago, and we see exactly how it is to just totally fall apart. There's no way on God's green earth that they go through the same thing again. You know what I'm saying? They don't go through this path again. They've got to get it changed around. Like I said, they got the most talent in the NFL, especially on the offensive side of the ball, the most talent in the NFL. I really think they get it together, buckle up, tighten their bootstraps, and get this going. And I mean, there's no way that they're going to be less than 12 and 5. I mean, that's just my prediction. Of the season.
So you like them beating the Chargers next week?
I like them beating the Chargers next week because this is going to be the same deep offense they're going to run that they just saw this week. They're going to try to pound the rock on them. And I think now they're going to get the discipline, stay in their gaps, and start stopping offenses. And then our offense is going to get things going because they're going to try to run on that defense, or who they're held against the pass. So go out there and run on that defense. So I mean, all things being equal, and I'm seeing that the world through green colored glasses. That's what I hope is going to happen. Yes.
All right, man. Listen, I really appreciate you joining the show. Always a pleasure to talk to you, brother. I haven't talked to you in a while.
I appreciate you having me on.
Thank you so much, man.
Thanks a lot, bro.
Your thing.
Yes, sir.
All right, that's the great Brad Brooks checking in with us on the Brunch with Mike Missanelli. We'll take a break. We'll go over the play-by-play of this game, the good and bad moments. That's coming up right here after this.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's. Warm up this fall with an incredible seafood boil. Try the Uncle George with succulent snow crabs, tasty mussels, and shrimp. There's the Pete's Feast with 2 pounds of sweet succulent crab legs, a dozen shrimp, clams, and a pound of mussels. Or create your own boil. Add a lobster tail or a delicious Dungeness cluster. Include smoked sausage, corn, and potatoes, served in our tasty broth, made with white wine and our signature seasonings. A shellfish lover's dream at Chickies and Pete's.
This is Tommy Green from the 1993 National League champion Phillies. Every champion needs a good game plan. BCWSA and I want to make sure you have a game plan when it comes to conserving our most precious resource, water. Whether you're washing dishes, brushing your teeth, or watering your garden, there are ways you can save water and save money. Visit bcwsa.net for tips on conserving water. BCWSA, proven.
The Peruzzi Automotive Group on Business Route 1 in Fairless Hills is looking for auto techs, all skill levels. Here's a chance to work for a locally owned family business that offers many benefits. For more information, call the service director, John Damarotis, at 215-943-6200. That's 215-943-6200, or visit any Peruzzi service department.
All right, welcome back to Burns Brunch with Mike Missanelli on the On Podcast Network. Before we get into the play-by-play, let's hear from A.J. Brown, who was asked if changes are needed via personnel or coaching staff. Now, that question is thrown to a guy who was outspoken in the past. So you're hoping to get a decent answer. Here's how A.J. answered it.
Answer what?
Whether it's personnel, whether it's coaching staff.
That's a crazy question.
That's what?
Crazy question. Yeah, for me, absolutely, it's crazy. But no.
Yeah, it's a crazy question because he probably wants to say something other than what he said. That's why it's a crazy question. But it's a legitimate question. Now, a guy may not answer a question like that, and he didn't answer it really. But to call it a crazy question, I think he's thinking, man, if I said really what I wanted to say, I think it's a crazy question because they're asking me because they know I'll go off. All right, let's go to play-by-play. Let's start out in the first quarter with the Bears' first scoring drive. They take over at their own 22, and all of a sudden, boom, they're running the ball down their throat. Big game for 17. Monungai, the kid from Rutgers, Kyle Monungai, another first down on a run. And on DeAndre Swift goes for 23 yards in a first down where Sidney Brown took a wrong angle. And I knew as soon as Sidney Brown became a starter, he would hurt them right away because he plays like a chicken without his head. He just plays with no discipline. Again, I call him the Ricky Council of the Philadelphia Eagles. Took a bad angle. Now it's a 3rd and 1. They push on the Eagles to get the first down. Then Monungai gets to the 2-yard line. The Eagles have given up 81 yards on the ground at this point already in this game. And then Swift for the touchdown, 78 yards in 11 plays. They go 7-0. Now the Eagles, they get a big play for Smith, but on 3rd and 8, he throws behind Smith. Now here's why Jalen Hurts said, and we have a soundbite on this because he was asked about that, why he could not connect with Devontae Smith on that. That's cut number 1, Matt. Jalen Hurts.
Not a check was a 2 guys on 2 different pages, and that's a bit of the issues that we've kind of been having. We weren't detailed enough in that. I wasn't detailed enough in instructing him what to do as we prepared and making myself clear on that. And so, I'm trying to find as many particulars as I can when it comes to the level of execution we have, and that's a group effort that has to be there.
Yeah. Again, when he talks, I go, okay. I know you have to talk, and you've learned how to talk to the press, but whatever. Second quarter, Bears. The Eagles get 3 points where they get the big play to Smith, but on 3rd and 8, he throws behind him. That game got him the field goal that we're just talking about. The Bears then take over, and on DeAndre Swift gets 17 on the first play. 3rd and 7. They got him in a good spot, 3rd and 7. But a pass over the middle to Zacchaeus for a first down. Burden gets to the 42. 3rd and 1, they sneak it. They get a first down at that particular situation. And then a few plays later, Santos kicks a 30-yard field goal to make it 10-3. And that was how the half ended. The Bears up 10-3. The Eagles, their drive of the game started at the 8-yard line in the 3rd quarter. They took 2 minutes to go, 92 yards. Hurts to A.J. for 25. Roughing the passer penalty gives them a first down at the 40. Barkley for 4. Hurts carries to the Bears 34 for 23 yards. And then Hurts to A.J. for the TD. A one-on-one with Deshaun Wright. He underthrew it a little bit, but the big body of AJ makes it good. Elliott misses the PAT. That would turn out to be a monster miss because it's 10-9 at that particular situation. All right. The Bears, subsequent drive, they start at the 13-yard line, and they go on a big drive that puts them up 17-9. Monangai and Swift again. Monangai mostly in this particular situation. During this drive, Monangai and Swift both go over 100 yards as we go into the fourth quarter. 112 for Monangai, 107 for Swift. Monangai, 5-yard TD, makes it 17-9, and then the killer. The Bears took over at the 31-yard line. 3rd and 4, they get it over the middle to Moore for a first down at the Eagle 48. Swift goes for 4. Another 3rd down. Quick hitter to Zacchaeus for a first down at the Eagle 30. And then Caleb Williams rolls left, flings it to Cole Kmet. The Gene was caught on that play for a touchdown, 24-9. And something I never thought I'd see. 24-9 situation, Eagle fans leaving the stadium. Unbelievable. Walking out of the stadium when it's 24-9. Of course, the Eagles answer with the touchdown with a big slant to AJ, who was all over that series. He had 9 catches for 114 yards. They go for 2 at that particular situation. We asked why they would go for 2 at 24-15. I don't know, but he did. No good, and that's the ball game right there. There you go. There's your play-by-play for your Philadelphia Eagles. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. On the other side, we've got non-play of the game, drive of the game, play of the game, playoff standings. We'll go around the NFL. We'll give grades. All that good stuff is to come on Birds Brunch with Mike Missanelli back after this.
Think banking hasn't changed? Think again. At Penn Community Bank, we've been helping communities thrive for 150 years. From our nationally recognized Access Checking that offers the peace of mind of no overdrafts, to student and free checking plus options with perks that will make you wonder what you did without them, like early direct deposit, overdraft grace, and Zelle. Learn more at PennCommunityBank.com/products. Penn Community Bank. Here we grow. Account and feature terms, restrictions, and conditions apply. Ask for full details. Member FDIC.
Your day-to-day life is hectic between having to pick up the kids, make dinner, the countless other tasks that you got to get done. Rob's Automotive and Collision is there to make your life a whole lot easier. Make sure you take advantage of their spacious waiting rooms, the large flat-screen TVs, complimentary coffee and muffins, and free Wi-Fi. So even when you do have to stop, Rob's is there to make you feel right at home. Give Rob's a call today at 215-826-9200 for any of your auto repair needs.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's. Warm up this fall with an incredible seafood boil. Try the Uncle George with succulent snow crabs, tasty mussels, and shrimp. There's the Pete's Feast with 2 pounds of sweet succulent crab legs, a dozen shrimp, clams, and a pound of mussels. Or create your own boil. Add a lobster tail or a delicious Dungeness cluster. Include smoked sausage, corn, and potatoes, served in our tasty broth, made with white wine and our signature seasonings. A shellfish lover's dream at Chickies and Pete's.
Yeah, Birds Brunch. We do it every after every Eagles game here. I'm Mike Missanelli. We're doing it a couple days late because of the Thanksgiving holiday. We gave everybody a kind of a weekend to refocus and to reprocess this whole situation. Let's hear from a couple people here. Let's hear from Saquon Barkley, who said the Eagles have to refocus at this particular time, and I guess he includes himself in that. This is Saquon Barkley, cut number 1.
Group focus. I think it's a group focus. It starts with that. We got to come together and we got to have focus. You know, when you're not focused, it could hurt you. I had a drop today. The drop is literally lack of focus. It's nothing to do with talent, nothing to do with that I can't catch the ball. I'm trying to peek and see what's over there, and I dropped the ball. We have multiple spots like that, and sometimes it comes up and creeps. It comes up and gets us, and we just got to be better in that. And we keep talking about it. We keep saying it. We're addressing it, and it's just not clicking right now. And that's just the truth, and I hate to say it, and we just got to figure it out, and got to figure it out pretty soon, to be honest. All right, thanks,
they got to figure it out. They play a tough team next week. I don't know what the line on that game is. I guess I should have checked it before. I'm thinking that the Eagles might be like a 1-point favorite in this game. I'll have to check the line, and Maybe Matt, you can dig up our producer Matt Miro. Check and see what that line is for next game. In the meantime, let's hear from our old friend CJ Gardner-Johnson. Oh, geez, you just know he was loving this whole thing after the game. CJ Gardner-Johnson, respecting all the players in the locker room. This is courtesy of the Speakeasy podcast with Sean McCoy and Emmanuel Acho. Here he is, CJ Gardner-Johnson.
Go. Hey, I said, I know you was going crazy after that win. I knew you was going crazy. Hey, we should never let him go. I said that. We should never let this motherfucker go. You said that. You said that. Hey, was you talking shit out there, though?
Nah, I got too much respect for them to even disrespect the player that I play with, but it's like more so the defense. We disrespected them on defense, though.
Hey, now, look at him. Go ahead. Was the offense too easy? Predictable? Speak your truth. Speak your truth.
Oh,
man. We got to go before we get it done.
Man, LaShawn McCoy ought to be ashamed of himself as an ex-Eagle. Yucking it up like that with CJ Gardner-Johnson. That's not right. You knew exactly what was going to happen with that. All right, we found out that the line on the Eagles-Chargers game, the Eagles are a 3-point favorite in this game. Interesting. It's an Eagle line. So maybe the odds makers are looking at it like, that's an aberration, just like it happens to every other team in the NFL. Drive of the game, the Eagles went 92 yards in 2 minutes. That's an easy one. The play of the game, AJ snagging a short ball for 33 yards and a touchdown over Deshaun Wright. That should have been the game-tying TD, of course, but missed extra point. Non-play of the game, Hurts' careless interception by Kevin Byard. When Kevin Byard was here, he couldn't play a lick. And all of a sudden, he's got a career resurgence, and he and C.J. Gardner-Johnson are helping the Bears. Well, also, that's tied with the failed tush-push. The tush-push, all of a sudden, not as reliable as it used to be. Jalen having the ball turning his body, and they're snatching the ball from him. But also, how about this play? There was a 3rd and 19. Hurts rolled. They didn't have anybody open, but he settles for a short pass, which was worthless. It was like a 4-yard pass. I'm going, well, why would you even do that? Throw the ball down the field if you're going to try something. That's not going to get you anything. All right, that's a 9-play of the game. Let's go playoff standings right now. As they stand right now, it's Bears, Rams, Eagles, Bucks, Seahawks, Packers, 49ers. As we said a little earlier, that means that the Eagles would be in a first-round match at home with the Green Bay Packers, and in their second game, they would play the winner of the Rams-49ers game. If you go by chalk, the Rams would be the winner in that game. That game would be in L.A. Second round, they would have to beat the Rams in L.A. if things do not change right now. All right, let's go with our grades before we get around the NFL. The quarterback, I give him a D. The numbers don't look bad, but I got to give him a D. Interception and a fumble through behind Smith. He missed a wide-open Goddard. He hit Barkley in the shoulder pads when Barkley didn't turn around quickly enough on a miscommunication. The running back, C, 4.3 average for Saquon, but the Bears were among the worst in the league versus the run, and they were down 3 linebackers. So that should have been a lot more than what they got out of that. The receivers, C, AJ had a good game. Smith was kind of invisible, and Goddard was underused. That gives me an average of a C. Offensive line, wow. I give the offensive line a C. I give the defensive line an F. I give the linebackers a D because both the defensive line and linebackers could not stop the Bears from running. Cornerback C, safety D because of Sidney Brown, and also Blankenship slipped and also got hurt. Special teams C, and coaching, got to give him an F. When you don't adjust during the course of a game, when a team is doing something to you and the coaching staff can't adjust, then what good is your coaching staff? F on both counts. Sirianni, Kevin Patullo, and even Vic Fangio in this game. All right? It's time to go around the NFL. These are only, it was a pretty lousy card of NFL games this week. So only 3 things popped out at me. Let's start off with the Panthers with upsetting the Rams 31-8. Bryce Young completed 15 of 20 passes for 206 yards, 3 touchdowns. 2 of them came on 4th down, by the way. Panthers forced 3 turnovers by Matthew Stafford. They beat the Los Angeles Rams 31-28, and they snapped the Rams' 6-game win streak. The big play in this game, a Mike Jackson 48-yard pick 6 of Matthew Stafford for Panthers. Let's hear it.
Four-man rush. Stafford into a tight window to Nakua. Picked up by Mike Jackson. And Jackson gets the block to take it home. Touchdown for Jackson.
Yeah, pretty common route combination, something Rams do all the time.
Touchdown for Jackson. Second thing that caught my eye was the 49ers. All of a sudden, look out for the San Francisco 49ers. They bashed the Browns and Shedeur Sanders 26-8. Brock Purdy back for the 49ers. Rushed for a touchdown, passed for another score. Cleveland wins or took an 8-7 lead actually in the second quarter. Sanders hooked up with Harold Fannin, the tight end out of Bowling Green, for a 34-yard touchdown. And then Quinton Judkins' run, they went for two in that particular situation, which was interesting. But San Francisco scored the next 19 points in its third consecutive win. Look out for them. And here's a 66-yard punt return by Sky Moore for the Niners.
You're watching him trying to catch these punts in pregame, and it was an adventure. From the 18, here comes Moore. Finds a sliver on the move. Can he get by Bojorquez? The stiff arm. Here comes the chase. Coming down the near side. They've got Njoku, who is over there along with Whiteheart, chasing Moore.
There you go. Big play for the 49ers. Now, the last highlight. How about the Houston Texans? Nico Collins scoring the tie-breaking touchdown on a 7-yard run with 12:38 to play. Nick Chubb also ran for a score. The Texans' top-ranked defense came up with a late stop to seal a 2016 victory over the Indianapolis Colts, who were on a little bit of a slump, especially offensively. They were on fire offensively, but they didn't do it in this game. Here's the big play in the game. Nico Collins' fourth quarter go-ahead, 7-yard rushing touchdown against the Colts.
Fake it and then give it to Collins. Looking to turn it upfield. He will for the touchdown. On the ground, Nico Collins.
All right, there you go. I might add that in a late afternoon game, how about the Washington Commanders nearly upsetting the Denver Broncos, but the Broncos prevailed 27-26 after in overtime, Nick Bonito batted away Marcus Mariota pass, which looked like it was going to be open for a 2-point conversion, and Washington going for the win there, but they lose it. Denver Broncos hold on for their 9th straight victory, a 27-26 thriller on Sunday night. So there you go. Upcoming schedule for your Philadelphia Eagles, who now have 4 losses. Next Monday at the Chargers on Monday Night Football. Tough game, but the Eagles are favored by 3. December 14th against the lousy Las Vegas Raiders, a 1 p.m. game. We haven't had a 1 p.m. game in a really long time. And then December 20th will be a Saturday game against the Commanders. No time yet for that. And December 28th at the Bills, 4:25 game. And then finally the last game against the Commanders on January 4th. So what we're talking about here are 2 potential losses left. Monday night and at the Bills. And we'll see where the Eagles stand after those 2 games. They went out, they're in pretty good shape. All right, this has been Birds Brunch with Mike Missanelli. Thanks for hanging with us. Again, you can see, if you caught us late, you can catch the podcast on all podcast networks and also go to On Patterson, the YouTube channel. Had a lot of fun. Thanks for all the people that chimed in on the text board during this game or during the show. And we'll talk to you next week. Take care, everybody. Have a great rest of the day. Bye-bye.